I had been working my tail off. I'd taken a contract that was supposed to be short and sweet, but it turned into a big deal. My personal life had fallen apart. I hadn't slept in almost 48 hours. I barely ate, so when I had a heart attack, it was no surprise. I was in town loading. After I loaded, I could sleep for a few hours before heading back to New Orleans. The forklift driver asked if I was okay. He said I looked gray. Actually, I didn't feel well. I felt like a truck was parked on my chest. I was having trouble breathing. Suddenly, I was trying to grab my trailer as I went down. The next thing I remember is looking up at lights, bright lights. There was a woman in my face saying, "Sir, can you hear me? Sir." I couldn't respond. I couldn't move. I could barely open my eyes. Where was I? I heard another voice. It was my daughter. It sounded like she was on the phone with one of my sons. She told him she was just getting to the hospital. He said he was 15 minutes out. He said he was still trying to find their brother. How could I hear that? Must be good drugs. The next thing I remember, it felt like I was floating. I was looking down at someone having some kind of surgery. There was a lot of activity, buzzers and bells. A doctor had his hands in this person's chest. He kept saying, come on, start." That's when I heard my dad. This was strange because he died 10 years ago. I realized it wasn't a voice as much as it was a thought. I realized there was a spot of light next to me. I realized then that I too was a spot of light floating near the ceiling. Was I dead? Was that me on the table? Yes. Suddenly there was a rush of information from my dad. We weren't talking. It was more like two computers linking up. Was I going crazy? This sensation was incredible. Absolutely no pain. I don't remember a day without pain. It wasn't hot or cold. I felt nothing but total freedom. It's very hard to explain the sensation. I felt my dad say, "It's time for you to make a decision." I knew what he meant. This was incredible. I was ready to go. All my worldly pain and stress was over. Suddenly we were in a room with people below us. Some were visibly shaken, some impatiently waiting. 2 of my kids were there. They were talking nervously, trying to take the edge off. Their mother had died 12 years ago, and the conversation was much the same. Lots of, "What are we going to do?" and "He has to be okays." "I can't go. I'm not ready." I felt my dad say, "Well, then go back and fight." It was over instantly. It happened again, though. It seemed like no time had passed at all, but I was again looking down at someone. This time I recognized the person in bed. It was me. I had tubes going in my mouth. There was a plastic cover over the top half of my body. Again, there was a lot of people in the room, and alarms and buzzers. I felt my dad again. "What are you doing?" "I'm tired, Dad. My life is so hard. It's time I give up." Instantly, we were in another room. "Yes, it's his room. They called the code blue for," my daughter was saying as she broke down. Both of my sons were there now. My other son had come halfway across the country to be here. They were all upset. It looked like they hadn't slept in days. I felt my dad say, "Get your ass back in there and fight." The next thing I was aware of was incredible pain and a strange noise. I tried to come to my senses. I realized it was snoring mixed with beeps and the sound of air being pumped. I opened my eyes to see my kids in the room. One of my sons was sleeping and snoring. The other 2 were snickering at him while they threw things, little balls of paper and stuff, at his face. My dad was right. I'm not done here yet. For a few years, I would still see my dad. He would appear as a light spot up in a corner of a room near the ceiling. It wasn't a light as such, but just a lighter spot about the size of a quarter. I haven't seen him for a few years now. I kind of miss him. If you would like your story to be read, send it to paranormallistening@gmail.com. If you like this story, hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notifications bell. Thank you.